Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to our video on instructional strategies. We hope you find it both informative and helpful. It's by Morgan Brown, Claudia Pitchford, and Mike Stein. Let's begin. The first instructional strategy we chose was flexible grouping with small group instruction. Tomlinson and Imbeau explain a non-negotiable aspect of effective differentiation is that teachers plan a consistent flow of varied student groupings within a unit of study based on the nature of work and the individual needs of students. Flexible grouping is when the teacher allows students to work in a variety of different groups. Not all groups have to be homogeneous or heterogeneous. Teachers can group students based on interests, readiness, ability, multiple intelligences, or even by learning preferences. When students are provided different groups to learn in, they will be more likely to show different characteristics of themselves. Flexible grouping allows the students to see themselves working in different ways with different peers. It allows the teacher to observe those students differently based on the group. In this video, courtesy of Shell Rock Elementary School, we see three teachers using flexible grouping for differentiated instruction. The video demonstrates a reading comprehension skill lesson where the teachers go through how they differentiate groups using pre-assessment data and then organize students based on their skill set within the learning objective. We won't watch the video here, but a link to it will be provided in our wiki in case you wanted to check it out. Some highlights from the video of this strategy in practice are the daily cycle of the lessons and their pre- and post-assessments. On day 1, they introduce the skill and pre-assess. On day 2, they review the skill and group the students into 3 different groups based on ability for the 3 teachers. Days 3 and 4, students are working in their differentiated groups with a teacher, learning and practicing the reading comprehension skill. Day 5 is review, and day 6 is the post-assessment. The teachers analyze the data from the post-assessment to see if any students still need help or reteaching. This video has an example of a lesson with flexible groups based on ability, but these groups change based on the skills. Other teachers can take some of these same ideas and apply them in their own classroom to differentiate groups in other ways. Flexible grouping supports differentiation by allowing the teacher to help students learn in an environment that is rewarding, with mutual respect, persistent effort, shared responsibility, and which makes everyone stronger. When grouping is aligned with instructional objectives and goals, it can be an effective way to reach a variety of learners. Grouping can be pairing, small groups of 3 to 5 students, large group, either student or teacher-led, or multiple age groups. Lorna Earle shared her thoughts that differentiation is making sure that the right students get the right learning tasks at the right time. We must continually monitor student growth in terms of their critical learning goals. Flexible grouping is a strategy that allows the teacher to meet the needs of all students wherever they are on the learning continuum. Group work draws on the particular strengths of the group members. For our second strategy, we focused on tiered learning. Sousa and Tomlinson write, tiering is a strategy that allows all students to work with the same content but at a degree of difficulty that provides an appropriate level of challenge. Not all students in a classroom are at the same level of readiness or ability. When we look at what degree of difficulty students should be working in, we need to take into account the zone of proximal development. There are tasks that will be too difficult, also referred to as the frustration level, too easy, and just right, called the instructional level. Tiering is a way to meet these different levels in the classroom. The teacher designs tasks or activities for that all students focus on the same skill. They, however, all have a varied level of difficulty. For some students, working out the basics is still a must, while others can move on to higher levels of thinking. This strategy of teaching provides students with the correct level of learning in order for them to get the most out of what is being presented. In this video, published by Robert Reischke, teachers at Drew Charter School are working on different tiers to instruct young students in a reading lesson. Again, we won't watch the video here, rather a link will be provided in the wiki. But in this example video, we see Tier 1 begin with whole group instruction. The teacher is reading to the class, demonstrating the skill and leading the discussion. In Tier 2, the students are working in a much smaller group with those reading skills. They are focusing on reading sounds and stretching out words. In Tier 3, more students are working in a different group with the reading specialist, again practicing the same skills. They are using different manipulatives to practice the same skills and achieve the same goals. This video shows how tiered instruction can work on different levels with the same content. Sousa and Tomlinson explain tiering allows students to work in their own zones of proximal development or in a state of moderate challenge while working toward common goals. According to Tomlinson and Imbo, we, as teachers, need to consider how to help students create a classroom in which they understand that we all have different entry points into learning, yet share the common need to learn. By using tiered lessons, everyone learns at the level and in the way that supports their learning. Sousa and Tomlinson state that assigning students to particular tiers is informed by ongoing assessments and other observations of student readiness, although at times teachers find it advantageous to allow students to self-select their tiers based on their understanding of their own needs. Carol Dweck stated, "We best serve our students by being candid about where their skills are at a given time and where they need to be in order to achieve their life and school dreams." Students learn incrementally from their various starting points. We cannot require students to make an impossible leap over a chasm in knowledge, nor should we ask them to move backwards in order to stay with the class. Now we'll move on to the individual response portion of this presentation, responding to the question, which belief or beliefs is supported and justified by the instructional strategies you selected. For the sake of time, I will only summarize our responses here, but we'll provide a link in our wiki to read our full answers should you want. We'll start with Morgan. Her answer highlighted belief 2, diversity is both inevitable and positive. Morgan wrote that diversity does not just cover a person's culture, but can include any of the differences that make a person an individual. Flexible grouping can address similarities and differences amongst students, allowing them to get to know and work with their peers. It enables students to grow with and learn from one another, rather than always relying on their teacher for support. Claudia's answer centered around the belief that we all have different entry points into learning and share a common need to learn. Flexible grouping allows students with all sorts of strengths the chance to grow both together with their peers and as an individual. Students are diverse, but teachers should have high expectations for everyone in their class. There are individual students with individual needs, yet flexible grouping allows these students to be placed in a similar group so they work in a challenging and supportive learning environment for the good of everyone in the group. For my answer, I really thought any of the beliefs Tomlinson and Imbo listed in Chapter 2 could be relevant, but I wanted to focus on belief 5, each student should have equity of access to excellent learning opportunities. Every student should have the best opportunity to succeed, and both our instructional strategies allow for that opportunity. They meet in various needs of the diverse learners by giving each student what he or she might need. In many cases, flexible grouping and tiered instruction are some of the best instructional strategies a school has to offer, giving their students the best chance for success. For the second question, During the video, Marzano addressed four main points in creating a meaningful learning experience for students. The first step Marzano addresses in this video is communicating learning goals with students. A learning goal is what the teacher hopes the students know or can do at the end of the lesson or unit. In his first step, the teacher should be tracking the readiness and ability of the students. This connects with differentiation in that at this point, the teacher should have an understanding of the students in terms of interests, learning profiles, and any other aspect that can have an effect on learning. Also, in this stage, the teacher is consistently using formative assessment to track the learning goals. Assessment is a major part of differentiated instruction. In fact, it is a non-negotiable of differentiation. In the second step Marzano addresses, the teacher is providing the students with effective ways to interact with new knowledge. The teacher provides the students with many different ways to work with new skills, ideas, or strategies that allow them to build their understanding of the information. This step connects with differentiation in that the teacher needs to be providing students with meaningful curriculum, which is another non-negotiable for differentiation. The teacher should also be implementing different types of instructional strategies that best fit the curriculum and learners. The third strategy that Marzano discussed was the teacher's job to deepen the understanding of the new content. At this point, Marzano discussed the importance of higher-level thinking. Now, this supports differentiation with flexible grouping and the need for a strong curriculum, both non-negotiables of differentiation. Students need to work with their peers critically thinking and solving problems rooted in a strong curriculum, which is how Marzano described deepening knowledge of new content. Lastly, the fourth step is that students should be able to partake in tasks that require them to generate and test a hypothesis. This task is meant to stimulate thinking and interest in the material that has been learned. It is also meant for the students to be involved in higher order thinking with the task and show their understanding of the content. This supports differentiation because these tasks can be open-ended, allowing for students to choose how they will show what they know. In conclusion, we found Marzano's strategies seem to fit very tightly with the non-negotiables of differentiation. Both ideas run parallel to one another and can create a very positive learning experience for students. Well, thank you for watching our presentation on instructional strategies. As I mentioned, there will be links provided on the wiki to view the full videos from this slideshow along with our full written responses. Please take a moment to check them out and let us know what you think. For Morgan and Claudia, this is Mike saying thanks for watching.